a kid with an awesome name, Air Noland, a 4-star quarterback, committed to Ohio State. So finally, Ohio State has another talented quarterback on its roster to throw to its talented receivers. Bud, what can you tell us about Air Noland?
Air Nolan, so 6'3", buck 95, 4-star quarterback for us in the 2024 class. 24/7 Sports has him as the 55th rated player and the number 7 quarterback. I think we talked an episode or maybe a week ago about this is not quite as good of a quarterback class as we had last year, right? It's probably a little bit better than what we had 2 cycles ago. Lefty, really quick release.
Oh, he's a lefty?
Yeah, he's a lefty.
I love lefty quarterbacks.
Me too.
Gets the ball
so nicely.
Like he gets the ball out on time. He's really accurate. 8,000 yards so far in his high school career with his senior year. Still left to play. Pretty decisive, experienced guy. You know, a good athlete. He does run the 100 and the 200. Like not amazing times, but I think it still says something that your quarterback there is running track. Now, he's 28-3 as a starter, which is generally a good indication. Like we want your high school quarterback to, if you're a stud, to be able to kind of will your team to victory. That you can overcome a lot of things. I think maybe to kind of tamp down expectations on that slightly. Last year, his team, Langston Hughes, sent guys to Ohio State, Georgia, Auburn, Miami, Middle Tennessee, Toledo, FAMU, and a couple other FCS schools. And
so
this
it's
year,
a decent roster.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, yes, you are putting up insane numbers. 8,000 yards with your senior year still to go is nuts, and 28-3 is obviously nuts. But he is playing on one of the most loaded rosters in the state of Georgia. His tight end last year, Jelani Thurman, went to Ohio State. Pretty nice athlete. And like, why would you not want to commit to Ohio State given what they've been doing receiver recruiting wise with Brian Hartline? They have Jeremiah Smith, who, we think is one of the best receivers coming along in a long time. Last year, they got, 3 of the top 7, I think, in the country. So pretty nice get for those guys.
So he played at the Ohio State of high schools. That's basically what you're telling me. Because that's how you could have taken out his name and described CJ Stroud with the talent that's around him and why he's going to be. And I think it is one of those things that it is tough to evaluate, but I'd probably be more concerned if he was going to, a mid-tier Big Ten school as opposed to Ohio State. This is very much, and we're starting to see this cycle of quarterbacks come through where it does feel like plug and play. As long as you kind of execute the offense, you're going to have top-tier talent to spread it around to, where I think you should see more of the same type of production out of him.
No doubt about it. He also had an interesting quote that he gave to Steve Wilfong. I don't know if you guys saw this or not. But his quote was, they develop black quarterbacks into NFL caliber quarterbacks. So I got to thinking about this because their finalists were, he had like 6 finalists, but most in the industry agree it came down to A&M and Miami. And so I was like, look, Jimbo has a pretty good track record developing black quarterbacks as well. Damian Craig, E.J. Manuel, Jameis Winston. Ohio State's just, and I guess Cristobal's offense, not really, right? But that's not, that's not to imply like that they can't or won't, just they don't have the track record of it. Ohio State recently, though, Haskins, right? JT Barrett, Justin Fields, CJ Stroud. I don't hear this talked about quite as much anymore. Like I remember when Jameis was coming out, it was definitely a thing. Like if you go to Alabama, will you play? And since then, obviously, Alabama's had several black quarterbacks who've done really well. But prior to that, they didn't have a huge history of playing black quarterbacks. I don't hear this talked about as much anymore. So it was interesting that it still mattered to Air Noland, and certainly something Ohio State was able to capitalize on here.
I mean, I definitely think it's something they could sell. But I also think, like you mentioned the guys that Jimbo's had. Jameis was the last black quarterback he developed, obviously first pick. Pretty good job, won a national title with him. But how old was Air Noland when that happened? Because that was 2013. So he was probably 8 years old. Man,
he was first pick in the 2015 draft. So he was probably 8 or 9. Yeah.
God, that blows my mind when I think about that. How old the recruits were, just the stuff that was not even long ago, just like recent college football stuff. It's like, Jameis Winston won a national title at Florida State. That was like a couple years ago. It's like, no, it was a decade ago. These kids were still in 3rd grade. They didn't care.
Do you think it was so this one, and kind of like a sign of our society today, where every single discussion we have has to resolve around race. And I think you'd be foolish to think that the recruiting game didn't come into this. Do you think this was something that he was looking for, or something that Ohio State was selling? Because I think, and kudos, I mean, if you're Ohio State, why wouldn't you capitalize on it? But I think you'd be crazy to think that it doesn't come up in conversations with families. But at some point, like there's a laundry list. Was Tennessee in this group? I thought I saw Tennessee hat on the table. There was like 6.
There were 6 that they weren't really considered like a true finalist. It was pretty much Miami A&M and Ohio State. Some people thought it was really just Miami and Ohio State.
Right.
Tennessee has a kid from South Georgia already committed to them now.
I just think that's one where I feel like Ohio State sold him on that. And I would too if I was them, right? You've got a really good track record of having black quarterbacks elevate and go to the next level. But I don't know. It just seems like a recruiting tactic.
Yeah, I think it's probably more recruiting, but I also think that, like, kind of like you were getting to, but it's like, to me at this point, it's like, well, yeah, like, look at the Heisman winners. Like, I don't think there's been a shortage of very good black quarterbacks at the college level moving to the NFL. I think that's just the way the sport is moving.
Mm-hmm.
But
do you guys think that was something that, I mean, I think, I don't know, 20 years ago, that was probably a legitimate worry. You know,
like very long
going
time.
somewhere where, like, as a black quarterback, you'd have a real shot to compete for the job.
And we're going to switch you positions.
Yeah,
you know,
we're
going to move you to
smart
receiver.
enough to play the position and that kind of crap. Yeah, no,
I guess, like, I don't know. I kind of think of college football a little bit as, I don't know what the term you want to use, like post-racial or something like that, but like not really, like not having a major impact on the decision of who's going to start at the quarterback. Or at least I'd hope.
That's one of the things I liked and loved about playing the sport of football or playing athletics in general, is they all feel like the ultimate meritocracy, right? Like the best player is going to play regardless of race. But I think now it's even more so open to different things. And I think probably before, the question for the NFL came along so long because you didn't see him, and the NFL had a different style of quarterback. But now that the NFL has taken concepts and looked at the success of black quarterbacks and said, wait a second, we could have, RPOs run, and we can have systems run, and look at the success they've had in college, where now you can see it have success. And now I don't even think it's a thought anymore for teams when they're evaluating at all.